Good morning. This morning we are going to do a few things. First, we are going to read the Lake Color Ministry again. We did read the poem at the beginning of the semester, the Lake Color Ministry, because I'm going to compare it with Kim Chun-seo's poetry. Okay, and also we're going to read a new poem by Yeats. It is an early poem. It is called A Coat. A Coat. And actually it is a poem about what Yeats wanted to do, right? What kind of poetry he wanted to do. And then I'm going to read the poem, Among School Children, the masterpiece. Right? You are going to write an essay about it. So I'm going to read through the poem, and then I'm going to finish my essay, Korean poetry through Yeats. Okay, and next Thursday you are going to take the midterm, right? And after that, your midterm paper is due, and you are supposed to write. I ask you to write an essay about Among School Children, right? And then the week after next, we are going to read an essay about Kim Chun-seo's poetry. It's my essay, and it's fascinating. What I mean is, the poetry by Kim Chun-seo is fascinating. I think my essay is also fascinating, right? Okay, first, let us go back to the poem, Lake Color Ministry. Okay, two sets. Okay, take one each, right? The Lake Color Ministry. I think you have it. In your folder, you'll find the poem. Or just listen, because we've gone through this poem. The Lake Color Ministry. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loved glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There, midnight soul a glimmer, noon a purple glow, an evening full of linnet wings. I will arise and go now, for almost night and day I hear the lake water lapping with low sound by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement gray, I hear it in deep heart's core. I'm going to make a comparison between this poem and Kim Chun-seo's early poems. And this is a very short poem. It's called A Coat. A Coat. I made my song a coat, covered with embroideries out of old mythologies, from heel to throat. But the fools caught it, wore it in the world's eyes, as though they'd wrote it. Song, let them take it, for there's more enterprise in walking naked. This is a very short poem. How many lines are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10-line poem. And what is Yeats saying here? What does Yeats want to say in this poem? I made my song a coat. I made my song a coat. I made a coat for my song, right? I made a coat for my song. I made my song a coat. What kind of coat is it? Covered with embroideries. A coat covered with embroideries. And the embroideries made of what? What kind of picture? What kind of embroideries? made out of old mythologies, from hill to throne, from hill to throne, semicolon. But the fools quote it. The fools, other people, other poets quote it. Wore it in the world's eyes, wore the quote in the world's eyes, as though they wrote it, as though they had written it. Period. Song. The speaker is addressing the song. Song. Poetry, right? Song. Let them take it. Song. Let them take it. Let the fools take it. For there is more enterprise in walking naked. There is more enterprise in walking naked. What is the meaning of the last two lines? What do they say? What does it mean? The last two lines. There is more enterprise in walking naked. Walking naked? Without interest? Walking naked? What does it mean? 유정현? Walking naked. What does it mean? What is he talking about? Yeats Yeats is talking about something here. There is more enterprise in walking naked. Yeah, he is talking about poetry. What kind of poetry is it? Without ornaments. Right? A very simple diction, poetic diction, right? So he's going to write a different kind of poem. And the different kind of poem is what? Like the poem such as what? Among School Children. Among School Children. You'll see it's a beautiful poem. Okay, let's go to the longer poem. Among School Children. There are, how many stanzas are there in this poem? Among School Children? Divided into sections, right? How many stanzas? 8 stanzas. 8 stanzas. And how many lines are there in each stanza? In each stanza, how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Each stanza has 8 lines. And look at the rhyming, right? Stanza 1, questioning, reprise, sing, histories, everything, eyes, upon, man. Very regular, right? A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, C, C, right? And then look at the meter, the beats. I walk through the long schoolroom questioning. The kind old nun in a white hood reprise. Very rhythmical, right? Stanza 2, bent she, event tragedy, bent sympathy, parable shell. Stanza 3, rage their age share, heritage hair, wild child. A, B, C, C, right? Mind, stanza 4, mind it, wind meet, kind that, snow scarecrow. Stanza 5, lap betrayed, escape decide, shape, right? Shape had birth forth. Stanza 6, plays things, tolls kings, Pythagoras, strings, herd, bird. The next stanza, images those, reveries repose, presences knows, symbolize enterprise. The final stanza, where soul, despair, oil, blossomer, bowl, glance, dance. Very regular, right? Okay, look at the final stanza. The very beautiful stanza, the images. What kind of image is it? Focus on it, okay? Labor is blossoming or dancing, where the body is not pushed to pleasure soul, nor beauty born out of his own despair, no blear-eyed wisdom out of midnight all. Oh, chestnut tree, great-rooted blossomer, are you the leaf, the blossom, or the ball? Oh, body sway to music, oh, brightening glance. How can you know the dancer from the dance? Fantastic, right? The images, right? Dancing images. Can you tell the dancer from dance? Can you tell? Can you distinguish the dance from dancer? Look at a woman dancing. Can you tell them apart? It's one and the same thing, right? Labor is blossoming or dancing. Labor is blossoming and dancing where the body is not bluished to pleasure soul. Pleasure is what? It's a verb, right? Give pleasure to soul, right? To pleasure soul. The last stanza, the last stanza alone is what? Great, right? Let's go back to the first stanza. I walk through the long schoolroom questioning. I walk through the long schoolroom questioning. A kind old nun in white-toed reprise. The children learn to cipher and to sing, to study reading books and histories, to cut and sew, be neat in everything, in the best modern way. The children's eyes, in momentary wonder, stare upon a 60-year-old smiling public man. 60-year-old smiling public man. Who is this man? The Yeats himself, right? He is visiting school children, a public school, right? Stanza 2. I dream of a Lydian body bent above a sinking fire, a tale that she told of a harsh reproof, a trivial event that changed many childish day to tragedy. Told, and it seemed that our two natures blent into a sphere from useful sympathy or else to alter Plato's parable into the yolk and white of the one shell. Very impressive, very complex, right? There's an echo here, right? An echo of what? Shakespeare. Shakespeare's Macbeth, right? Stanza 3, and thinking of that fit of grief for rage, I look upon one child or the other there and wonder if she stood there. She stood so at that age. For even daughters of this one can share something of every peddler's heritage. Hair that color upon cheek or hair, thereupon my heart is driven wild. She stands before me as a living child. He is going back, right? He retrospect. Stanza 4. Her present image floats into the mind. Her present image floats into the mind. Did Quattrocento finger fashion it? Hollow of cheek as though it drank the wind and took a mass of shadows for its meat? What is this? What kind of is it? What kind of description is it? You remember? Do you remember the photo of old Morgan? Very old woman. Can you yeah. It's description of her image, right? Her present image floats into the mind. Did Quattrocento finger fashion it? Hollow cheek as though it drank the wind and took a mass of shadows for its meat? I, though never of leading kind, had pretty plumage once. He's now old man, like a scarecrow, but I had pretty plumage once. Enough of that. Better to smile on all that smile and show there is a comfortable kind of old scarecrow. Stanza 5. What useful mother, a sheep upon her lap, honey of generation had betrayed, and that must sleep, schlick, struggle to escape, as recollection or the drug decide, would think a son, did she but see that shape, with 60 or more winters on his head, a compensation for the pang of his birth or the uncertainty of his setting forth. Stanza 6. Plato thought nature but a spume that plays upon a ghostly paradigm of things. Solidar Aristotle played the toes upon the bottom of a king of kings. World-famous golden slides, Pythagoras, fingered upon a fiddlestick or strings. What the stars sang, careless muses heard, all clothed upon old sticks to scare a bird. Stanza 7. Both nuns and mothers worship images, but those the candles light are not as those that animate a mother's reveries, but keep a marble of bronze repose, and that they too break hearts. Oh, presences that passion, power of affection knows, and that all heavenly glory symbolize, all self-born markers of man's enterprise. The last stanza. Labor is blossoming or dancing, where body is not bluish to pleasure soul, nor beauty born out of its own despair, nor blear-eyed wisdom out of midnight all. O chestnut tree, great-rooted blossomer, are you the leaf, the blossom, or the bowl? O body sway to music, O brightening clouds, how can we know the dance from the dance? Okay, you're going to write an essay about this poem, right? So, okay, now let's go back to the essay. Page 251, essay, Korean Poetry through WBH, Kim Chun-soo and Kim Jong-gil, right? Page 151, in the middle. Now, Kim Chun-soo's poem, Season in a Legend, which compares with Yeats's. Season in a Legend. At night, sweet rain drops to damp hither and thither. Leaves in bushes grow green, every new leaf. Let's go drops of water. Azaleas open red, one after another. From underground, betwixt rocks, wriggling out of thorns, betwixt walls, young ones creep and jump. Yesterday we were not, they were not. Mountains stretch limbs of immemorial time, shaking again. In a village, pear blossoms blow sweet. Bunches of flower clouds hanging on drooping willows flow west toward west. Kim Chun-soo's Season in Legend conceals the speaker, but the narrator is the invisible eye, as in Yeats's Lake Isle of Innisfree. Like Yeats's poem, the poem is addressing a paradisiacal vision, and the speaker depicts with every single detail of reality. The reader almost mistakes the poem for a real scene in a rural village, which is non-existent now. This is not a real world, it is a world of legend. The poet gives a title that is not at all fit for this scene, because everything that is being described is too real to be mythical. Yet, the poet calls this poem Season of Legend. Stanza 4 has a clue to it. 어느 마을은, or in a certain village. This village is not a particular village, but any village in the distant, the rural countryside. The poet is talking about things past, things that no longer delight our eyes. The pose both poets take. The pose both poets, what I mean is Yeats and Kim Chun-soo, take diverges. Yeats misses his hometown and wants to go back, when Kim Chun-soo misses a village that has become a legend. Yeats begins with reality and dreams and comes back to reality. Kim Chun-soo begins with reality and stays with it to the end of the poem. Though the language they use differ, the characters in the diction, sound strikingly similar. The English language, any language of the world, is inferior to the Korean language as far as the vocabulary of color, light, movement, onomatopoeia is concerned. But in the Lake Isle, Yeats fills in the gap with his superb command of English. He skillfully combines light and sound, color and sound, with a compound word, such as nine bin lows, be loud glade, honey bee, or with prepositional phrases in the be loud glade, from the vales of morning to where the cricket sings, with low sounds by the shore, on the roadway or on the pavement gray, the deep past core, present participles, peace comes, dropping slow, dropping. Here, lake water lapping with low sounds. The use of a past participial draws attention. In the poem, only one past participial form is used, which means that the poet tends not to use a passive verb. Even the single use is in inversion. And I will, a small cabin built there of clay and what is made. If put in the usual order, the sentence reads, and I will build a small cabin made of clay and wattles. The verb made is weakened in this sentence order, while Yeats' inversion, made sounds like an active verb. Besides, of course, the rhyme scheme is built into the poem. The use of the adjectives fascinates me also. The adjectives the poet uses are no longer adjectives. I rarely find adjective in Yeats' poetry in general, whether or not he must have known instinctively that an adjective tends to cause disturbances in or dampen an image. These sentences and phrases with adjectives. And the small cabin built there, the midnight solar glimmer, noon a purple glow. I hear lake water lapping with low sound by the shore. On the pavement gray, and I hear it in the deep past core. First, the poet's adjectives in sentences 1 and 4 seem to me to function as adverbs representing action. Build it small, build it small, and sounds low. I do know that my reading is not supported by the structure of the sentences. Psychologically, we could read them this way. In the similar context, sentence 6 could be cast as, I hear it deep in the heart core. I prefer Yeats' sentence because it reverberates with the rest of the sentence structures of hushed nuances above. The adjective purple in sentence 3 is almost noun. As a glow of purple, it indicates the color itself rather than it is weakened as a qualifier. The similar thing is observed in sentence 5 when you read it as a noun. And when it is a noun, the tone of the poem is in harmony with the rest. When we read on the gray pavement in place of the pavement gray, the city as symbolized by the color gray is incapable of expressing the poet's strong desire for an isle green. Despite the huge gap between Korean and English, Kim Chun-soo is equally good at the use of his language. Kim makes full use of strength in Korean, expressions of colors, light, sound, movement, as Yeats does in English. The sentences with such expressions, for example, 간밤에 단비가 촉촉히 내리더니 여기저기 덤풀풀이 파릇파릇 돋아나고 점점이 진달래 붉게 피고 어리디 어린 짐승들이 연방 기어나고 뛰어나오고 태연히 어느 마을에는 백꽃이 훈훈히 풍기고 휘영청 휘어진 버들가지 위에는 맵폭이 엉기고 꽃 같은 구름이 서로 흐르고 있다. These expressions in Korean probably have no equivalent in other languages. To have a grasp of how they work in Kim's poetry, it is enough to see how the first 3 sentences have been put into English. Sentence 1 is put into at night, sweet rain drops to dampen. I translate 촉촉히, enough to dampen, plunge to damp. The sound of Korean word 촉촉히 is indicative of both the sound and tactile sense of the falling rain. I have to take the tactile sense only as English lacks the sense of sound in it. To date, I have not yet found one that fits. In sentence 2, the word parut parut, green green, literally green green, has no comparable English word. I have to be satisfied with an alliteration in English. Hither, dither, leaves in bushes grown green, 촉촉히, or grown green. Okay. In sentence 3, 점점이 진달래, 진달래, 붉게 피고. At a point, azaleas bloom red. This is a literal translation. The music in it has to be lost in translation. Azaleas open red, one after another. This is my translation. The rest of the sentence also contain expressions in Korean which have almost no equivalents in English. Kim Chun-soo, as a Korean poet, is one of the best poets in our century who commands Korean to the full extent as Yeats does in his language. I've read all of Kim Chun-soo's poetry and come across this particular poem that reads like Yeats's The Lake Owl. An early poem, Kim's early poem, Seasonal Legend, is included in his Cloud and Rose, or 구름과 장미, the first book of his poetry. This book has 3 poems of his that echo Yeats, this poem, In Autumn, being another. Kim's In Autumn. In autumn, let my poem take off all the womanly vanity and make its bond stronger. This sounds like a quote, right? Quote. You remember? We've just read the poem by Yeats, a quote, right? 가을에 나의 신은 여성적 허영을 모두 벗기고 뼈를 굵게 하라. The same, right? Same idea, right? Yeats' quote. I made my song a coat covered with embroideries. Song, let them take it, for there is more enterprise in walking naked. In these 2 poems, the basic imagery is the same. Yeats' song will let them, those imitate Yeats' poetry, take its cloth embroidered by women. That is, Yeats wants to make his poetry simple, as trees in autumn that shed leaves. Similarly, Kim wants poetry with strong bonds, like the naked trees in autumn. Both Yeats and Kim Chun-soo were to write stronger poetry later on, as said in their poems. I have read all of Kim Chun-soo's poetry and come across a dozen poems that have glimpses of Yeats. I'd go back to read them separately, along with Yeats' later on. And I want to go to another poet, Kim Jong-gil, our contemporary and scholar of English poetry. I've read him. I've heard him read Seamus Heaney with interest and respect. I still remember and hear his voice reading Heaney and other English poets, in voice monotonous yet melodic. As when he talked with us, and slow and clear, I visualized a young child reciting 천자문, or the book 1,000 Chinese characters. I now hear a mature scholar's voice carrying neither excitement nor boredom in his reading, but his voice expressive of sincere and calm joy of doing the reading of a great soul working in a poem. His voice expressive of nobility, sincerity, combined with full insight into the essence of things. Kim Jong-gil was born in Andong, Gyeongbuk in 1926, and at the age of 21, his poem won a prize in the poetry competition sponsored by the Korea Daily, Gyeongyang, in 1947. He graduated from Korea University with a BA in English. Hwang Dong-gyu, another poet of our time, seems to me to have known Yeats well, as he has taught, translated, and published Yeats' poetry. But I have never seen Hwang mention Yeats anywhere in his poetry. He has debated looking Yeats in the eye. Unlike Hwang Dong-gyu, Kim Jong-gil calls up Yeats confronting a moment of death. Yeats must have been a moment of death. Yeats must have been glimpsing in his early 60s. In Kim's poem, I Awakened Too Early, Kim kindly adds to his poem a note as to Yeats' poem, The Tower. The Tower is a great poem, and it's the title poem in the book called The Tower. Tower, right? It is a book of poetry, the book of poems, written at its height, right? I think. Kim's poem, I Awaken Too Early, is an excellent poem, which is beyond Yeats, though echoes from Yeats' pieces are heard in the poem. This must exemplify what later poets, under the pressure of tradition, could do. I awaken too early. The old awaken early in the morning. I awaken too early and want to go back to sleep. But while I'm tossing around, time flows fast. And awakened at dawn, I hear in my aging ears rivulet flowing or rain falling, but no rain falls out the window I open. That all the great things that old days seem but clouds at sundown, a moment of death, Yeats glimpsed in his early 60s. On that, do I stare sitting up at dawn, hearing Yellow River life I have lived flowing fast, ringing into my ears? As the poet has in the poem clarified the source of an important image that comes from Yeats, I do not need to elaborate it further. I would go on to another poem by Kim Jong-il, which is a supreme achievement for him. Kim himself must have thought with me, as he has put it, his point at the end of the book of his poetry. The day has much shortened, published in 2004. The poem is A Couple, written in 2004, the latest poem at the publication of the book. I have said Kim Jong-il has transcended tradition to become himself. He is self-reliant, confident, so that he could put Yeats' name in his poetry. If he was not sure, he wouldn't do that. To me, Kim is as sure as Picasso and Matisse, who felt so confident that were so sure of their individuality and strength that they could borrow from each other freely. Still, what was borrowed was to become their own. Here is the beautiful poem of Kim in full, not inferior to any of Yeats' poems about love between man and wife. Yeats' are beautiful, but none is as heartwarming as this one, A Couple. A pair of bowls glisten with the rare sunlight before dusk, sit empty in the dark corners of kitchen or on a table worn out. Made of brass, china, or clay, have lived like one. Their well over 50-year life seems but a day, soiled and chipped by each other. Each for rice and soup, become each to one. Giving birth to many a child, raised a couple, sent them away. Now we too are alone. Thus, counting each other's thinning gray hair and fine wrinkles round the eyes, we wish we could at the same hour be broken together. At this idle thought, we smile and look up. The last rays of light on the window glisten white on the ill-timed tears in their eyes. Kim's A Couple can be put beside Yeats' When You Are Old, but Yeats' poem differs in tone and diction from Kim's A Couple. Probably one of Yeats' greatest poems among school children is similar in tone to and could in part compare with A Couple. Some of the images and stanzas 2 and 4 and among school children seem compatible with images in A Couple. Our two natures blend into a sphere from useful sympathy, or else to alter Plato's parable into the yolk and white of the one shell, or as compared with a pair of bowls made of brass, china, or clay have lived like one. Their well over 50-year life seems but a day, soiled and chipped by each other. And Yeats among school children, stanza 4, must have left indelible marks on Yeats' mind. Yeats' image of two lovers reverberate Kim's A Couple in sublimation. Yeats. Her present image floats into the mind. Did quattrocento finger fashion it? Hollow cheek, as though it drank the wind and took a massive shadows for its meat. And I, though never of leading kind, had pretty promised ones. Enough of that, better to smile on all that smile and show there is a comfortable kind of old scarecrow, as compared with the whole poem. A couple, a pair of balls, glisten with the sunlight before dark, sit empty in the dark corners of kitchen or on a table worn out, made of brass, china, or clay, have lived like one. Their well of 50-year life seems but a day, soul chipped by each other. Each for rice and soup become each other, each to each, giving birth to many a child, raised couples, sent them away. Now we too are alone. Thus, counting each other's thinning gray hair and fine wrinkles around the eyes, we wish we could at the same time be broken together. At this idle thought, we smile and look up. The last rays of light on the window glisten while on the ill-timed tears in their eyes. As I have said above, Kim Jong-il is a unique poet in both feeling and diction, though he has taught Yeats in school. This does not say Kim is not influenced at all, which is not true. He is able to voice his own voice in his own idioms. He must have transcended Yeats and other English and American poets, not to mention Chinese poets. He has turned into a truly Korean poet who is different from any other Korean poet. Not from Kim Chun-soo, not from Kim Chun-soo that he likes and translates into English for English-speaking countries. Okay, we'll take a 5 minutes break.